So, hiya, I'm Kaz. This is Vicky, and this could be the first episode of the podcast. I've not done one before. I've been on a podcast. I've never done my own before, and this is me walking me walk and following through on something that I promised that I would do. But I've already tried to record a few sessions today, and it's not as easy as just doing a Facebook Live or something because you kind of judge yourself and you stop and you go, oh, I'm going to have to edit that bit out. And then there's just loads of pauses and me going, So Vicky's just said, why don't you just hit record and pretend you're doing a Facebook Live? And we've got Vicky here because I think it flows a lot better when I'm just having a conversation. So,
Mhm.
I've over the years said that I was going to do a podcast. I've got no definite name for it yet. I've got no niche of what it is. Um, I've got no blurb about what I'm about. I'm not going to go into massive personal stories right now, but I'm absolutely open to doing that as we go on. Um, So I'm just going to record something and put it out there so that I can say that I've done this. And Vicky's going to help me here. And I'm hoping you can't hear my chair squeaking. And I'm going to settle on a still bit there like that. So Vicky came up with a question for me just so we can get talking about something. What was your question?
What was my question? It was, not to read it now because I'll forget. Uh, do you think healing is more like gardening, baking, or rewiring a fuse box?
Do I think healing is more like gardening, baking, or rewiring a fuse box?
Not suggesting you know how
Um,
to do any of those, but except the baking.
yeah. No, I definitely don't know how to do gardening. Um, but I suppose my instinct is gardening, but I think it's probably a bit like all three. Like I can make definitely make analogies and metaphors with all three. Um, I think mm, bacon in a way, because in my head, um, when I'm creating something, it's like, oh, this is the vision of what I've got. What will I need to do that? I need a bit of this, a bit of that, a bit of the other. This is the quantities that I need. This is the temperature. This is the length of time it has to go in for. And the intention's there, but I would say probably about 70% of the time, it doesn't turn out exactly how you want it to.
I'd say that's
You're left with,
100% of the time for me.
and you're left with something burnt or something soggy. You're left with a soggy bottom.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, a bit crusty around the edges. Yeah, and but then it's useful because you know what you can have a little taste of it and go, oh, next time I'll not do that, or I'll add a bit more of this, or I'll not do it too high for a shorter period of time. Maybe this is a slow cooker. Maybe it takes a bit of time to bake. So, yeah. And also there's that thing of it made us think of that saying about you can't make a cake without breaking the eggs.
Yeah.
You heard that one before, where it's like, yeah, and then sometimes you're picking the shell out and there's a lot of analogies. So I think sometimes maybe when we're talking about healing even, sometimes healing isn't the right thing. I know we're all trying to get to that space of feeling healed and feeling whole, but I think on a healing journey, sometimes yeah, probably can feel a little bit like baking in times of I have to say baking when I'm speaking on a thing and not bacon because that sounds like bacon, like a crispy bacon
Yeah,
sandwich
true.
in a in a Geordie accent. So do you think healing's like bacon? Well, let's have an analogy about bacon. Oh, same
As
sort
long
of
as it's
thing,
nice
really,
and
about.
crispy, it's fine. Ah,
Hmm. Yeah.
yeah.
So there's
Yeah.
that. And then like a fuse box, sometimes it does feel, well, it probably feels less like a fuse box for me, but I can definitely make an analogy out of it. Where sometimes it's just things stop working and go offline for a bit, and you need to kind of open things up, explore and see what's went wrong, and then figure out how you're gonna um, bring that piece or that part back up to full power.
Mm,
Um, and how you do that, and do you have the right tools to be able to do that? Do you feel like you've got the right qualifications to be able to do that?
mm,
So a bit like that. But then when I think of gardening, I think of the different, it's a seasonal thing.
hmm.
It's there's different soils, there's plants that are there, there's weeds to be pulled out, there's things that have been left overgrown and you just can't even face going in there because it's covered over with brambles and all sorts of um whatever. Um and thinking about what can you have next to each other. There's a
Mm,
lot of there's a lot of I think there's a lot more similarities in a gardening experience to
yeah.
being on a path of healing or returning to wholeness or
Yeah.
reclaiming yourself or integrating your experiences or whichever way you want to call it. I think gardening feels a lot more true to life, probably because it's the most organic of
Yeah.
all of it. Depends on how much sunlight, and if I equate that to warmth and love and connection you get, or
Hmm.
how you feel in the dark. Or you could then go into biodynamic gardening and go with the whole cosmos and the earth and all of that kind of jazz. I don't know, what were your thoughts on it?
So yeah, baking, apart from the fact I'm not very good at it, um, I kind of, for me, like the baking kind of analogy is like, it's very precise and very kind of like to actually like bake things, you have to like follow a proper recipe and all that kind of stuff. And I struggle with that, and I struggle with that in like life as well, um, because it's quite stressful. I think for me, it's probably it is more gardening, because it's like, well, it is the seasons, but it's also about like having, you've got the soil, but then you have to put into it like the right things. Well, the obvious basics like water and nutrients and stuff. But it's also that bit about like, even it's not always visible, like what's happening, and what's changing and what's growing. It's like so like things are start under the soil and you can't see necessarily the progress or how it's growing or what's happening, or and that's kind of, for me, that's kind of like life really. It's the bits that you don't see that have the most impact potentially. It's bits that other people don't see, that are the most powerful. And that's where the real strength comes from, for plants and things, and for me, and just that kind of, yeah, that's where it sits for me. So yeah, definitely gardening.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah,
Mm.
that reminds us of the bamboo story. You know, where
I don't know that.
bamboo doesn't like push through for about 5 years or something, and then it just goes really, really high.
Yeah,
It's really
yeah,
important because that is
yeah.
the thing with the nutrients and everything that we are saying, how you nourish and what soil it's in, and whether it's too acidic or how it is. It's a very fine balance um with us, not just
It,
physically, but
it,
like if you're talking about the gut or your body, but then also mentally, like what's poisoning your mind, what's what's in
mm,
here that's not allowing
yeah,
new stuff to grow. And really, I think sometimes you've got to address that
yeah,
or just reposition it to somewhere else. Um, but the first step of that is to actually going out and
yeah.
having a look at what you've got and what's in there, what is overgrown, what needs some
Mm.
attention.
So we had we've as a family we've got a collection of roses that we've collected over the years, and I got one for my parents' 50th. When was it? 2024, and we put it didn't follow all the instructions. We've had loads of them and they've all grown really, really well. Followed all the instructions and everything, and put it in a really massive pot, and it was okay. And then it kind of died basically. And to start with, we thought it was winter, they all died back, blah blah blah. But it didn't come back, and so we were really confused. Because it was in the right compost, it had all the right stuff, we'd like done all the right things for it, and it just wasn't growing. So we looked at like all the possible things, and basically that one, um, we had to get a replacement. So we got a replacement for it, potted it up, did all the right things again, and the same thing happened. So we were like, what is going on? But it turns out that there was something in the actual pot, like the material of the pot, that was
Mm,
causing like a systemic failure, basically. And so took it out of that pot, um, and put it somewhere else, and it still didn't grow. But by the time we'd
mm,
done that, it had obviously like taken up like all whatever the bad stuff was in the pot. So we got another one, potted it in a different place, but did all the other things the same, and it's growing. So it was actually the pot that it was in that was the problem, rather than
that's
anything
really
else.
fascinating.
It was weird.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so as well, the work
yeah,
that we do with constellation work and systemic failure that you said there, one thing
mm,
not not allowing that thriving and the flourishing, even though on paper you're doing everything right, there can just be that one thing that's
yeah,
very subtle but very powerful
yep,
that's knocking the whole thing out of balance.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It took us ages to work out. I mean, that's a couple of years ago, and it took us ages and ages to work out what the actual problem was because we didn't think that it could be the actual pot.
Mm, yeah.
Yeah, just
And
one thing.
again, like in it,
Yeah, we've got
we've yeah, and when we've got when you think about, I'm just laughing because I had a conversation with my auntie today, and she was talking about how her neighbour likes to smoke for medicinal purposes, and how she can smell it through her place. And she's like, "But I know this is really actually helping him. It's not like he's just he's not any bother. I know he's doing it for medical reasons. So, um, so that's fine. I don't want to make a fuss about it, but actually, it disturbs my chest. And he's been away on holiday,
mm,
and actually, um, her chest's been a lot better. And I was like, well, there you go. Can you not have a word with them about that? There's got to be a way because it kind of seeps through vents or something and into her space. So either like knock on the door and say, here, I need some of that as well. If you're going to do it, you're going to have to give me some as well because that's causing a bit of pain. Um, but there's that environment is causing some distress to her system. So that's
yeah,
going to need looked at for sure. But even just things like with the mold and like just now winter and it being so cold outside and people
mm,
drying their clothes inside and all of the extra moisture and
yeah,
um, mold and mildew and all of the rest of it has a massive impact, doesn't it, on how you
Yeah.
thrive and how your immune system
It
is.
really does. It really does. But it's something that you can't always see or know that it's there.
Yeah.
That's the hard thing. But yeah, mold and mildew and everything has a massive impact.
Hmm.
Absolutely massive. Yeah.
What were your thoughts on the fuse box thing?
So the fuse box, I don't know, it's like I suppose I mean what you were saying about like the rewiring kind of side of things and like the bit for me about like if you're practically working on a fuse box, you obviously have to turn off the power. So you have to turn off that like that source of energy and whatever in order to do the work that you need to do to rewire the fuse box or whatever you're doing to it. And yeah, otherwise you electrocute yourself. Not fun. Um, yeah, it's a strange one.
Mm.
Um, I don't
It's
know.
it's also made us think when you're saying that, sometimes when I think I don't know what to call this. I don't know whether it's like doing the work or consciously making choices and changes in your life or whatever it is. But sometimes when you're doing that, um, you have to go, you have to power off and you have to go offline for a bit just for the system to reintegrate.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, like if you do, I know in the three, and elevation thing this month,
yeah.
which is the third month. It's not really the third month, but we're going to say it's the third
The
month.
third
Okay.
calendar month, yes.
Yeah. And the energy center that works with, and there's something in there about kind of trusting your gut, but going deeper than that and trusting your soul. Oh, I'll give myself
Give
a
it a
thumbs
thumbs
up
up.
on because we're recording this on Zoom. Um, but what was I talking about?
I don't know where you were going.
What was I talking about? I was talking about.
The powering
Oh
off.
yeah, so there's a process that I've got called trust your soul process, and in that it's kind of like right, consider this thing, whatever it is that's coming up for you. It might be something where you've got all the intellectual knowledge about it, you know what you should be doing, or that you thought you dealt with something before and it keeps coming back round again and again and again.
Hmm.
So you do this process basically. I'll not go through what the process is, but when you do this process, like the important step is like then just go and have a nap or go and forget
Mm.
about it. Or like the process and polarities thing.
Yeah,
Um, do that and then say the prayer, do whatever it is, like give it up, surrender it, and then relax,
yeah,
rest, go offline because um otherwise you're still in that place of trying to be in control of it where actually it's you've got to sometimes just let the system do what it needs to do. Let you
yeah,
let yourself go offline for a little bit.
yeah, definitely. Because it's like you've got like old wiring, like survival wiring or whatever. And if you don't like power off and reset those and reroute them, you just keep tripping same bit of the system. Like you do in a fuse box. If you don't rewire, like if you've got a bulb that keeps blowing or whatever, because it's got too much power going to it, or it's short circuiting. If you don't rewire it, like turn it off and
Mm,
rewire it, then it's just going to keep doing it over and over again,
yeah,
um, which is expensive and yeah, not very good. Yeah.
yeah. And it goes back to that thing that I always say about if you thinking about rewiring, like if you were to rewire a house, you know you're going to upgrade your system. You
Mm-hmm.
want that system upgrade. You want for things to feel safer, for the power to be consistent, for to have everything like where it needs to be. You know that you need this rewire of your house,
Mm.
and so there's no other way to do it other than to empty all of the stuff out, chip all the
Yep.
stuff off the walls, get into the system, create all this mess, all this chaos.
Yeah.
And then, as is the part when we're linking this to what we're talking about, that step that you get to where you get of like, what on earth have I started here? Why did I start doing this? I should have stayed the way I was. It was fine. We could have just put up with that for another 10 years.
Yep.
Like, I knew where I was with that. This is all too much. This is all too uncomfortable. There's too much mess here.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I can't believe how much work we still need to do to get to that place. But ultimately, you get through it. And then when you're at that place and you've had all that rewiring done and you've got fresh plastered walls and you can choose what paint you're going to colour them and you're going to put things in like, does this serve me anymore? No, it doesn't. I want
Mm-hmm.
something fresh and new and alive in there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah. I mean, I've helped my dad rewire, well, my house, um, and various other houses over the years. And yeah, it's always hard, and it's always that point where you're making holes in the wall and trying to like find the cable that's coming down from the wall with a little bit of yeah. It's always difficult, but it's like when we do that, um, always like to try like to guide the wires and stuff. Put a bit on the end, and so you can find it when it comes down through the wall, stuff like that. Because you can't see it, you have to like feel for it or hook it with a bit of wire through the little hole or something. But yeah, it's always a challenge trying to rewire. Um, and then it's always a challenge when you have a bit that you're not quite sure where you're supposed to put it,
Mm,
which bit of the
yeah.
box next to. It's mine. Yeah, I mean, like my actual house got very confusing with the wiring because a few years ago I got solar panels. So in the electric cupboard now, there's a whole load of extra boxes with like a shitload of extra wiring in it, and I'm like, okay, but it was a
Mm,
challenge connected up together and like putting the new bits in and connecting them to the old or the older like circuit and things, trying to get all that safely done so that it didn't explode, was a challenge. Obviously, we got an electrician to do it, but um, yeah, it was a challenge.
yeah. Yeah.
Getting
Just
those new bits
giggling
in.
because there's someone in the family who will just be like, "Well, I can do that. We don't need any." Oh, men just like, "Oh, I'll be able to do that much cheaper. I'm not paying a professional to do that. I'm just going
Oh
to
no,
cut through
yeah.
this pipe that's connected to the cooker and the gas system." Oh, I'm just going to rewire this. Oh, dear me. It just ends up costing you twice as much, which is, again, there's some message in there, isn't there?
Some message in there, yes, definitely,
Yeah.
definitely,
Hmm.
yeah. You do have to have the right kind of skills, don't you, to do
Hmm.
stuff like that. Definitely.
Yeah.
Um, whereas,
Well,
whereas,
thank
like,
you for bringing that question.
yeah, it's good.
Mm, it was.
I thought it was
So
fun.
I don't know what this podcast is going to be or turn out like, but this is the first thing and it's getting out there and um it will develop into whatever it develops into.
Of course it will.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, thank you very much.
That's all right.
Okay. Love you.
Bye.
Bye.